Hello, I'm Chrissy Seaton and welcome back to my channel. Today's video, we are continuing with the series on the patriarchs, and this will be number 14 and will actually be the last in this series on Abraham. So let's start. Now it's going to be Genesis chapter 25 and we're looking at verses 7 to 11. And of course this surrounds the death of Abraham, that wonderful and great patriarch that all faiths in God descended from. So let's get on with it. Now, as usual, I'm going to read the introduction of the Torah commentary in regards to chapter 25. Then I will read the verses 7 till 11, and then the appropriate commentary that applies to those verses. So here's the general introduction, and I'm reading as usual from the Torah, and we'll proceed. Now, it says here in this general introduction that, as is customary in the Torah, when a person's role in the development of the narrative is completed, his life is summed up, even though he may have lived for many years. Once Abraham, at the age of 140, had arranged for the marriage of Isaac, the destiny of the Jewish people moved on to the next generation, even though Abraham lived to the age of 175. Now, the Torah now summarizes the rest of Abraham's life, saying merely that he remarried, provided for his children by his second wife, so Sarah has died, and then was laid to rest by Isaac and Ishmael. Then, since Ishmael has no part in the ongoing story of Israel, the Torah merely lists Ishmael's offspring and goes on to the story of Isaac. All of this is yet another illustration of the maxim that the Torah is not a history book. If it were, there would surely be many more events of interest that might be recorded. But since it is the story of the development of God's chosen people, any events tangential to this primary theme are extraneous. So that's short and simple. So there were lots of things that did happen that aren't necessarily recorded in the Torah. But what is important for the Jews and the Gentiles is certainly recorded, and that is what we need to concentrate, not what the maybes or the could have beens are. So now, as usual, I will read those verses 7 to 11 and then the commentary associated with them. So let's start. Verse 7 begins, and its subtitle is The Death of Abraham. Now, these are the days of the years of Abraham's life which he lived, 100 years, 70 years, and 5 years, so 175 years. And Abraham expired and died at a good old age, mature and content, and he was gathered to his people. His sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar the Hittite, facing Mamre. The field that Abraham had bought from the children of Heth, there Abraham was buried, and Sarah his wife. So Abraham and Sarah were actually buried side by side. And it was after the death of Abraham that God blessed Isaac his son, and Isaac settled near Bear Lahoro. Bear Lahoro. I apologise, my pronunciations aren't perfect. So that is as far as we read. Now, I'm going to read the actual commentary on each of those verses. So we're going to start at verse 7, of course. Now, it says here that the phrase in the verse says, which he lived. Abraham had lived his life fully. Not one day was ever wasted. And of course, we've already learnt that. He took advantage of every opportunity. In giving his lifespan, the Torah follows the pattern it used in giving Sarah's years. And that was back in Genesis chapter 23, verse 1, to indicate that at 100 he was like 70, and at 70 like 5 without sin. The relationship of the age of 70 to freedom from sin is that a 70-year-old is at the twilight of his life with death staring him in the face. He avoids sin. In other words, you know, you're starting to think, well, I'm getting on a bit in years. I better tidy up any loose ends I've got and mend any fences, you know, that I may have broken along the way. Now, verse 9 goes on and says, his son Isaac and Ishmael, since the older Ishmael gave precedence to his younger brother, and that is an entirely different story again, unlike Esau, who forced himself ahead of Jacob at the burial of Isaac. So we infer that he repented. In other words, we're inferring that Ishmael repented. God blessed Isaac, his son. Since the verse states that God blessed Isaac after Abraham's death, the implication is that the blessing and death were related. Therefore, the sages infer that God blessed him by comforting him in his mourning. Alternately, God conferred upon Isaac the blessings that he had given to Abraham. So that ends the actual commentary there. So it's short and to the point. But as always, the Torah never wastes any words. We're you know, it's economical on words, but they're action-packed, they're loaded. The messages and inferences are certainly loaded. And that's one of the things that we can learn through being associated and attached to good Torah scholars, rabbis and teachers who teach correctly. And they've had a lot more experience, centuries of experience that we have had. Now, one of the things that I wanted to mention is that these series that I do, I understand that they're not something that possibly suits everybody, but they are sometimes a way of dealing with a subject that can't be dealt with in one simple, abbreviated video. So sometimes there are important people or important events that are best described in a series, and that's why I've done them that way. And as I said, this is number 14 in the series, the Patriarchs Abraham, and so therefore, and also it is the last in the series on Abraham. In the future, looking forward, I will do them, if I'm doing a series or perhaps a topic that, is comprehensive, I will probably look to presenting them differently, and in discussion with others, I probably will do them via a Zoom, a live Zoom, and then record the teaching section of it and put that up on YouTube. So you will still be seeing a YouTube, totally free. There's no cost involved whatsoever for you to attend the live, or you can see the actual recorded part. And that is because it allows me a little bit more artistic license, so to speak. I can put notes up. I can actually put notes up on a screen. So instead of seeing me inside this background, you're going to see a little square up in the corner, and then the rest of the screen will contain notes that you can pause and read, references and things like that. So that's going into the future if and when I do the next series. So I just wanted to make that clear. The other thing I wanted to say is I thank you so much for the people who have made comments on my YouTube channel, on all the videos, but especially some of the comments that in relation to the series that I have done. Also, I do get a lot of emails as well, because people know they can email me. That's on my website. And it's quite interesting, particularly if they want to say something that's a bit wordy or ask a question. And I always appreciate those. And if I can't answer them, I make certain that I refer them to someone who can answer that question, because I don't know all the answers. I never do. I've never professed that. But if I can't help you, I'll do my very best to find the correct answer that you're looking for, and someone who can give you more help than I'm able to. So really, I'm just an information facilitator. I just put information out there, and hopefully if you want to go further with it, there's other avenues you can go down, other people that can help you. So once again, I thank you very much for watching this series, and for the people who have subscribed. I think we're pretty close to 600 subscribers now, which I'm very, very happy and grateful for. It's my wish and my prayer that I can continue to provide information for you that will create a thought in your mind and encourage you to search your faith and in the one true God. So until I do my next video, I want you all to please take care, and God bless you.